Sarah and Oliver had only been married 2 weeks when they received the news of Sarah's pregnancy. They were both overjoyed and eager to expand their family. Throughout Sarah's pregnancy, Oliver provided unwavering support. He accompanied her to doctor's appointments, stood by her side during ultrasounds, and demonstrated his devotion to her and their unborn child. During routine checkups, the doctor reassured her that the baby was healthy and strong. Oliver smiled and gently ruffled Sarah's hair, and they both watched the monitor in anticipation. Sarah thanked her husband for sharing her excitement about the baby. Together they prepared the nursery and carefully selected furniture and clothing for the little one. At 28 weeks, Sarah hosted a baby shower for her close friends to celebrate the impending birth. In the midst of good conversation and gift exchanges, she suddenly felt intense contractions. "It hurts," she cried out, clutching her stomach tightly as a sharp wave of pain shot through her belly. Concerned friends rushed to her side. "What's wrong? Are you okay?" Sarah answered, fighting back the pain. "I need to get to the hospital." "We need to get you to the hospital. Can you help me get to the hospital?" "I'll call Oliver." "I'll call Oliver too," her friend Maya said as she helped Sarah get up from her chair. When they arrived at the hospital, the doctor confirmed that Sarah was in labor. Shortly after Oliver's arrival, she began the birthing process. To her surprise, the first baby to emerge was a girl. "It's a girl," the doctor exclaimed. Confused, Oliver clutched at Sarah and asked, "What do you mean it's a girl?" "The ultrasound showed it was a boy. Do you remember our conversation that night at the cafe and our wish? We both wanted a daughter, didn't we?" Sarah said. "But wait, we're not done yet," the doctor interrupted, urging her to keep pushing. "It's a boy. Look, it's a boy," the doctor declared, revealing that Sarah and Oliver had welcomed 2 healthy babies into the world. Before Sarah could react, another scream escaped her lips. Oliver stood stunned. He had thought they would only have one boy to welcome into their lives, but now they had 3 children who needed his care and love. Sarah was rushed to the recovery room and the 3 children were admitted to the neonatal intensive care unit. The triplets, born prematurely at 28 weeks, needed several days in the hospital before they could be taken home. During that time, Oliver was troubled by his thoughts. He approached Sarah's doctor and demanded answers about the situation. How is this possible? How could they not have known in advance that she was carrying triplets? Ultrasound may not detect everything at once, especially if the fetus is too small. This is especially true if the fetus is too small. You and Sarah are lucky. This happens only once in a million pregnancies, she explained. Instead of feeling joyful, Oliver was disheartened. The prospect of raising 3 children at the same time did not fill him with excitement. While Sarah and the children remained in the hospital, Oliver stayed home. Before leaving the hospital, Oliver said to Sarah, "I'm not sure I'm going to be able to do this." It took another 5 days before the children, whom he named Andy, Amara, and Ashton, were discharged. Sarah anticipated Oliver's joy when he returned home. But the ride home was filled with an uncomfortable silence. "Are you all right?" Sarah asked her husband. He shrugged his shoulders and said grimly, "I'm fine." When they arrived home, Oliver asked if the children needed anything. Sarah smiled, thinking he was finally adjusting to the demands of caring for triplets. The kids ran out of diapers at the hospital. "Can you go to the store and get some?" Oliver nodded. I answered, "Sure, I'll be right back," and left the house. In the meantime, Sarah diligently cared for her 3 children. It was her first opportunity to care for her 3 children alone, as they were in separate wards at the hospital. "Hello, my darlings," she said as she carefully placed each of them in their cribs. Daddy's gone to buy diapers for me. Be patient. It's not time for nasty surprises yet, she whispered to the children. After the children were fast asleep, Sarah decided to start preparing dinner. She chose a quick macaroni and cheese recipe in anticipation of Oliver's return. But time was running out and Oliver was still gone. The triplets began crying at the same time, overwhelming Sarah, who was unable to care for them all at once. Desperate to reach Oliver, Sarah dialed his phone number, but it went to voicemail. "Where are you? Are you okay? I'm getting worried about you. Please call me back," she pleaded, leaving a voicemail. Another hour later, Sarah called his number again, but his phone was turned off. Increasingly anxious, Sarah dialed 911. "I just want to make sure this number is active. My husband hasn't come home and I'm afraid he's been in an accident," she explained, her voice filled with panic. The dispatcher obtained Oliver's number and managed to track it down. "I'm sorry, sir. There was no accident and your husband is now on the highway." Overwhelmed, Sarah burst into tears. "Why?" she sobbed, her children crying behind her. Alone with her 3 newborn triplets, Sarah felt a great burden from the lack of any assistance. She felt overwhelmed, restless, and afraid. Before completely losing hope about Oliver's whereabouts, Sarah decided to visit Greg, Oliver's closest friend. The next morning, Sarah knocked on Greg's door, feeling the inseparable bond between him and Oliver. In the blink of an eye, everything changed, and Sarah couldn't help but ask Greg for an answer. "Sarah, come in," Greg exclaimed as he opened the door and saw her standing there. "Would you like some coffee?" Sarah nodded without hesitation, her heart racing, eagerly awaiting the answer she was looking for. "Greg put the coffee on the table," she said. "Did you see him after he left us? Did you see him after he left us?" Sarah interrupted. Greg noticed that Sarah was growing anxious and pale, so he answered. "I tried to reason with him and make him understand that what he was doing was wrong. I urged him to stay here and take care of you and the baby, but he refused. His coffee is getting cold." Sarah was deeply hurt. Greg's revelations added to her pain. "That's it? He didn't say anything else?" Greg sensed Sarah's disappointment and decided it was time to reveal a little more about his best friend. He disappeared without a trace, leaving her alone with the baby. Sarah was perplexed. She believed Greg knew all about her relationship with Oliver. "Well, I don't know. Do you remember the first time you met him?" Greg continued. Tears welled up in Sarah's eyes. "Of course, I'll never forget that day. It was Friday and I was working my shift at the cafe and I saw you two sitting with a group of guys who were probably staying at a friend's house. It was someone's birthday. I still remember Oliver giving a toast and laughing hysterically when that person cut the cake." "Yes, exactly. We were celebrating Sam's birthday." Sarah couldn't help but shed a tear as she recalled her first meeting with Oliver and how he made eye contact with her from across the room. "Oliver and his birthday boy Sam, they were both interested in you," Greg paraphrased, bringing her back to reality. "They were drunk and started arguing about who would win you first. But it was not only that. They began to make quite serious deals." "It's a deal." "What a deal?" Sarah was surprised. Greg hesitated and could not be sure if he had made the right decision to disclose everything that happened that day. Nevertheless, he realized that he had no choice but to reveal the truth. "Sarah, I know this will be painful for you to hear, but Oliver made a 100 bet to sleep with you that night," Greg said. "Sam laughed it off, won the bet and said it was easy to seduce you. In addition, he offered Oliver 11 if he could put you in court and take you out for 1,000 months. Sarah was completely stunned. "He bet on sleeping with me. Oh my God, how could he be?" Before Sarah fully handled the situation, Greg intervened once more, revealing the essence of Oliver's character. The thing is that Oliver had never been in a serious relationship before. We all thought it was some kind of tasteless joke, but then he took it seriously. So you're saying he courted me for 11,000 and got married? That Sarah's voice shuddered as tears gushed into her eyes. No, not at all. He really liked you, Greg revealed. After you guys started dating, things escalated. You got married, and everything looked fine until he began to feel that he began to choke in the relationship. Oliver was afraid of commitment. He did not want to settle down so quickly. When things got serious, he began to pull away, and he had those mistresses. Wait, Oliver had a mistress. That Sarah's alarm was palpable. That's how Oliver does. Deception easily happens to him. It's a shame he was keeping you in the dark. At some point, he wanted to divorce you, but he was too afraid to follow through. If he really wanted to divorce me, why did he stay? Why didn't he leave me early? Sarah's voice shuddered through her tears. I'm not entirely sure why, but one of the things I know for sure is that your pregnancy shocked him. Point one, he was not ready for it, but tried to hold everything together so that you did not get hurt. He tried, but when you gave birth to triplets, he panicked. It was the last straw. He felt overwhelmed and had no choice but to run away. It made him too much to handle, and leaving you and the kids was the only option he saw. Oh my God, Greg, Sarah sobbed. You have visited us regularly. Oliver left me alone with the baby. What do I do now? I'm so confused, and how would I survive without him? Sarah was terrified by the prospect of raising a child alone amid various challenges. Her head was pounding with pain, crying for hours, but her tears did not stop. She paced back and forth in Greg's living room while trying to call Oliver, but his phone was still off. Calm down, Sarah. Calm down, please. Get some water. Give me 5 minutes and I'll take you home, Greg said. Greg took Sarah home, where she thanked a neighbor who had been babysitting the triplets while they were away. With a forced smile, Sarah immediately fired the woman before inviting Greg. They're beautiful, Sarah, he said, gently stroking the heads of each of her babies. He should have stayed, if not for you, at least for his children. After Greg left, Sarah tried to calm her emotions and breastfeed the baby before putting it in the crib. Exhausted and upset, she was restless to cry. Time passed, and finally, she fell asleep near her toddler. The next morning, the big doorbell rang to surprise Sarah, and she jumped out of bed and did a heart race. Oliver, she called out as she hurried to the door, but was disappointed when she saw who it was. Greg, she said, her hopes were dashed. Come in. I called you, but you didn't come to pick me up, he said as he walked in with a large bag of diapers and baby supplies. I have more in my car. I'll get it. Sarah was surprised by Greg's unexpected visit. She was even more shocked by the level of attention and care he gave to her baby. How about a cup of coffee? She asked him. No, thank you. I have to go, maybe some other time. With the help of Greg, Sarah was somewhat relieved. She was struggling with the idea of raising 3 children on her own and was running out of diapers and other baby essentials. The first days were very difficult for Sarah, but her life changed when Greg often went to her house and began to offer his assistance. Gradually, Sarah realized that without Greg's support, she could not handle the responsibility of raising the baby alone. He consistently went above and beyond to help her move forward and focus on her future. Greg volunteered to babysit her triplets while attending a job interview. Before long, Sarah secured a job as a lawyer at a private law firm. Her days revolve around juggling work and taking care of her children, and having Greg by her side provides the important support she needs. Despite Sarah's initial resistance, she could not prevent him from taking a shower with the children with the attention and care they deserve. Over time, Andy, Amara and Ashton began to prefer Greg's presence. They no longer bother Sarah to take them to the amusement park over the weekend or discuss not receiving extravagant Christmas gifts, and Greg accepted the role of father and did everything he could for them. His love for the children gradually melted Sarah's heart, and she realized that she herself was developing feelings for him. Sarah and Greg finally started dating, but they took things slowly. Their priority was to ensure that the children had Greg take on the role of father. Once they received the approval of the children, Sarah and Greg had a discreet wedding and tied the knot. 12 years have passed and many changes have been made. The scars Oliver left on Sarah's heart were still there, but Sarah and Greg both achieved success in their careers and raised 3 wonderful children together. Everything seemed to be heading in the right direction until one day when Sarah's secretary called her from a client to sign the package. The secretary told the courier she's on her way and eagerly waited for Sarah's signature. When Sarah jumped out of the office, she was shocked. Oliver, she looked at her ex-husband and cried. She invited him to her office and asked for answers from Oliver about everything he did to her 12 years ago. Oliver nervously chased Sarah and went to a spacious office decorated with blue on the 3rd floor. He did not expect in such a successful position to meet his ex-wife, whom he left with his newborn triplets. I rehearsed this conversation 100 million times in front of the mirror, Sarah said as she settled on a rolling chair. Oliver was shocked to witness her in this position. She has changed greatly. Time has truly transformed her. At first, I missed you. I was hoping you would change your mind and come back. But as I unraveled some truths, I began to hate you more than I ever loved you. I wanted you to witness my success. Isn't it unusual to meet here like this today? I have nothing to say now, but I have one question. How can you do this to me, Oliver? It's not entirely my fault, Sarah. I know what I did was wrong, but I felt trapped, Oliver explained. I was young and scared. I plunged into everything, our relationship, marriage, and having children, and I was not really ready to be a father of 3. That's ridiculous, Sarah exclaimed. You were 27 years old, Oliver. You were not young. You were old enough for all. Or should I remind you again of what you did? What did I do? You forget the bet you made with your friend Sam about me, Sarah looked. You dated me and wore the facade of a happy marriage. You lied to me and cheated on me with multiple mistresses, pretending to be excited about becoming a father. And when you had enough, you ran away scared and left me with our triplets. Oliver was caught off guard. He had expected to be angry that Sarah had abandoned him and the children, but Oliver was shocked to learn that Sarah knew about the bet, about Sarah, and about Sarah's unwillingness to take care of the baby. How could she know all that? Who told you? Greg. Greg told me all about you. He supported the kids and me when you left us. He helped us survive. He did what you would have done for us. Wait, are you and Greg married? Oliver asked. Sarah's silence gave away the answer, but Oliver was not surprised at this point. He realized that this might be his best chance to blackmail Greg for a large sum of money. Surprisingly, it was Greg, not Sam, who made the bet about Sarah. You kept this from her, Greg? Oliver thought to himself. Then I'll pay you a surprise visit and show you how to reveal the whole truth to her. As he approached Sarah, he added, Look at me, I have nothing, no good job, and a lot of debt. If I had known you were so rich, I would have run to you for help. Are you drunk, Oliver? Sarah fumed. Well, what more can I expect from you? I'm not surprised. Sarah, please help me. Oliver begged. You abandoned me and the children. You abandoned us. Did you think of us then? Why would I? Get out now. I don't want to see you again, and don't walk past me. Get out. Sarah was furious and kicked Oliver out on the spot. Oliver grumbled and left the office, planning to wait at a nearby cafe and confront his ex-wife after work. He grinned when he saw Sarah and Greg hugging on the front porch. He saw their children, Andy, Amara, and Ashton, playing in the yard. The next day, after Sarah left for work, Oliver returned to Sarah's house and knocked on the door, surprising Greg. Oliver, oh my God, what the... Before Greg could finish, Oliver forced his way into the house and made himself comfortable on the couch. Oliver, how did you find us? Did my best friend seduce my wife behind my back? Oliver scoffed and laughed as Greg became increasingly uneasy. Oliver, what do you want? Why did you come here? How could you do this to me, Greg? You knew I loved her. If you really loved her, you wouldn't have run away and left her and the kids. Have you forgotten that night we made a bet in the cafe? I fell in love with her at first sight. You both wanted her, didn't you? But only one of you succeeded, and that was me, Oliver declared, surveying the opulence of Greg's living room. I admit I was happy with her. And she got pregnant. I wasn't ready, but I supported her and loved her even more. But when I saw 3 babies, I was overwhelmed. I was only prepared for one, so we had to break up. I wasn't ready to raise triplets. Greg frowned. People don't run away from their families or their children. Oliver ignored Greg's concern and made an unusual request. I don't want to get any deeper into this, and I want $5,000. $5,000? Greg was stunned. Yes, I'm just asking for a little help to keep my mouth shut. I can help you with your personal problems, your debts. In return, you can save your marriage to Sarah. Imagine what would happen if she found out that you and I had made a bet, Oliver explained. Greg had never thought he'd be in this situation, but after thinking about it for a moment, he reluctantly agreed. But I need some time, Oliver said. All right, I'll see you soon. Remember, Saturday is the deadline, Oliver said, patting Greg on the shoulder reassuringly before leaving. On Friday afternoon, Greg withdrew $5,000 from the joint account he shared with Sarah. But she did not expect to receive a notification on her cell phone. A $5,000 withdrawal. Why would Greg need such a large sum of money? Sarah wondered and became concerned. She immediately called Greg to inquire. He said, "Don't worry, it's our money. But why didn't you tell me you needed $5,000? Are you all right? Did something unexpected happen?" Without any choice, Greg confided the truth to Sarah. He confessed. Oliver threatened to tell you that he made the bet with me and not Sam. I was afraid of losing you, Sarah. I love you deeply and I can't imagine my life without you and the kids. To Greg's surprise, Sarah burst out laughing. Greg thought he was going to explode with anger, but her reaction left him speechless. Greg, that's ridiculous. Greg, that's ridiculous. Do you really think I'm going to leave you because of a drunken joke? I despise Oliver not because of the bet or his stupid behavior, but because he abandoned me with the triplets. We're past that. We'll talk more about it when I get home, Sarah said, hanging up the phone. When Sarah got home, she tried to beg Greg for forgiveness again, but he assured her that he forgave her and wanted them to live happily ever after. I'll get you something to eat, she said thoughtfully as she went to the kitchen. I wanted to feel sorry for that poor addict, but the threats crossed the line. Filled with determination and a sense of justice, Sarah wasted no time in telling Greg of her decision. She expressed her firm determination to report Oliver's actions to the proper authorities, as she felt that his malicious acts should not go unpunished. Greg, who recognized the gravity of the situation and understood the importance of confronting such wrongdoing, wholeheartedly supported Sarah's choice. The two gathered all the necessary evidence and meticulously documented Oliver's threats, attempted extortion, and evasion of alimony payments over the years. Armed with substantial evidence against Oliver, they presented their findings to local law enforcement authorities and ensured that justice would be served. Impressed by their thorough investigation and the compelling evidence presented, the authorities wasted no time in launching an official inquiry into Oliver's actions. It did not take long for the truth to emerge and for Oliver's despicable actions to come under the scrutiny of the legal system. As a result of a swift and thorough investigation, law enforcement gathered rigorous evidence against Oliver. As a result, Oliver was arrested and booked. He was immediately arrested and charged with threatening Greg and evading support obligations for over a decade. The news of Oliver's arrest shocked the community as people learned the extent of his deception and the pain he had caused Sarah and her family. Determined to get justice, the authorities pursued the legal process with the utmost seriousness. Oliver's trial became a significant event that garnered widespread attention. The evidence presented during the proceedings painted a damning picture of his character and conduct. Witness testimony further solidified the case against Oliver and revealed the depth of Oliver's manipulation of others and disregard for their well-being. In court, Oliver's arrogance crumbled under the weight of his crimes. The judge recognized the gravity of the crime he had committed and rendered a just and substantial verdict, holding him accountable for his actions. The verdict sent a powerful message that no one should be punished for attempting to use another person for extortion. With Oliver behind bars, Sarah and Greg felt a new sense of security and closure. Their courageous decision to seek justice not only protected their own families, but also potentially spared others from falling victim to Oliver's nefarious plans. They felt that Oliver's arrest would prevent similar acts of extortion and ensure the safety and well-being of innocent people. Sarah and Greg found comfort in knowing that their love and resilience had prevailed. Their bond was strengthened by their shared experience, which reinforced their commitment to each other and their determination to overcome any challenges that might come their way in the future.